Hi, Orange Girl here with another scrapbooking process video for you, and I am working on my 52 faves for 2020. This is part of 52 Friday favorites on the Paper Issue Store. So, my last video showed the cover, and now I am working on my first week. I have this photograph of something that my daughter made, and if you didn't see my last video, I cut this card out of some Dear Lizzy papers, and it was a 6x6 paper pad, and I used both of these cards. I couldn't decide which one I was going to use, so you'll see what I end up doing here coming up. But I used that paper pad to cut several out right away at first using my Silhouette Cameo and a free cut file from the Paper Issue Store, which I will put in the section, the description below. So at this point, I knew I wanted to use, or I hoped to use that radio or whatever that is, because I was thinking that um, the whole idea of this photograph and the story behind this photograph is that it is a photo of something that my daughter made using her 3D pen, and it's supposed to be an image of someone whose name is Miles Nilsson. And Miles Nilsson is a musician that we follow frequently, and we've made other layouts about him and his band, Miles Nilsson and the Rusted Hearts. And so I thought the radio would be a cool thing to have there. Have been struggling. Now I've made, at the time I'm doing this voiceover, not so much at the time that I'm making this video, I have made I think, three or four different cards. But one of the ways that I am struggling at this point, as I'm creating this and continue to struggle a little bit, but I'm getting better, is that it's such a small space. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to have any sort of journaling, which is relatively important to me, along with this photo and any sort of embellishments. Like it's such um, small real estate that it's just hard to figure out what I'm going to do. So I'm kind of toying with things here. You saw me off camera there. I went ahead and stitched around the outside of this card. I also stitched it to a piece of cardstock because I thought it would be a good idea to, for each of my cards, to go ahead and add, instead of just pattern paper, to add some cardstock behind it so that it would be a little bit stronger. So what I decided to do for this layout, or this project for this actual week, is to go ahead and add a second card to the week. So I'm just using my card there as a like a stencil, sort of, to cut out, using from the ephemera pack, using a piece of something that's probably meant for journaling, like a ticket sort of thing, a big card, like 3x5, I'm thinking it is, or 3x4, excuse me. And I use that, the original card, to trace around it and cut out holes so that I can use that for my journaling. So that solves one of my problems. So now I'm just going to go ahead and embellish this card as if I don't need any journaling. And I'm going to put the journaling, as you can see here, that I typed up on my typewriter that I fixed, by the way. So if you follow me and you've noticed in some of my other videos, I've talked about the fact that I broke my typewriter. Well, I fixed it. I'm a genius. Anyway, so I went ahead and typed up the journaling that says, "Be made a beardless Miles Nilsson with her 3D pen. Hashtag nailed it." So that is what that little bit of journaling says. And I am still struggling a little bit because I'm not totally sure that that radio or whatever that is that I'm using there is going to totally work. It might be too big, whatever. So what I did, because I was thinking I was probably going to use it originally, is because it's green, I went ahead and put a little green paper behind the star that is in the cut file that is on the tab there. So I was thinking I would kind of focus on green and blue. So adding green and blue to this tag and to the supplemental journal tag that I'm going to use, green and blue is what I'm kind of thinking at this point. So I decided I really like these alphas. I've used them, a ton of them, but I still have a ton of them left. And I think they're pink. Wait a minute. I think maybe they came from a Paige Evans collection, I'm thinking. Yeah. So I used the white alphas there to put right on the radio there. It says Miles, which I thought is good because this is a picture of Miles, sort of. And then I'm using some silver thread. Now, when you use metallic thread. Thread is hard enough to work with, but when you use metallic thread, it's just a different texture, and it sometimes isn't very cooperative. But this time wasn't too bad. I decided to put a little metallic thread behind the Hello Miles ephemera piece there, um, and I popped it up with a pop dot, or not pop dot, some foam adhesive. And then here I am adding a little bit of gray and white ribbon and just stapling it on. I'll cut that off to make it a little shorter. I'm going to put that on a tag that already says Dream, and then I added a sticker that has little 3 silver hearts on it, and I'm going to put that kind of behind my photo as a layer behind my photo. And then that tag is almost finished, or not tag, what do you want to call these? Card? I guess this is a card. Is almost finished, not quite. So I'm going to play with it just a little bit more. I did not pop up the photo because I popped up that radio, and I like that the radio is kind of overlapping the photo. There's a lot of black on the photo, empty space, and so I went ahead and used that. So now I'm going to focus a little bit on the card, and I hadn't really decided what kind of embellishments that I was going to use on this card. The card was kind of a last minute decision when I couldn't figure out how to do my journaling, and so or add it and still make the card fun. And so like I said, it was kind of last minute. So here I am. I just went ahead and glued that down. So I'm kind of playing with different things to try to see. I knew I kind of wanted something up at the top, a heading or a title or something like that. And so I'm just looking at the sticker sheet. Sticker sheet. I am so sorry, but I am not cutting that out because that is really funny. So if you've listened 8 minutes in, you're going to hear me swear. Sorry. Sticker sheet. And I found this thing that says stay tuned, which I thought kind of went with the whole idea of the radio, and it kind of connected the two things. I added a little bit of green behind it, and then I have this kind of yellow, golden yellow color that is also in the tag, is what says stay tuned, and then also the heart stickers that are below my journaling also have that same yellow. So I felt like I'm kind of like when I do a traveler's notebook and I'm trying to tie the 2 pages together, I'm kind of trying to tie these 2 cards together. So the journaling card as well as the card with the photo on it, I'm trying to tie them together with like colors or in this case even words because it says stay tuned. And then I add one more thing that kind of ties them together here in just a few minutes. So I popped up the stay tuned. The stay tuned is a sticker that is on top of a piece of green pattern paper that came off the tag actually. I'm using my stapler to kind of just sit on top of that so that the silver thread and that ephemera piece will just kind of stick to it a little bit better if I thought if I would just go ahead and put something on top of it heavy. So while that is kind of drying a little bit, I went into my stash. These are by Jelly Bean Soup, and they are pieces of sequins that have some adhesive already on them, and like I had not used any of these, and they've been in my stash for like 150 years. I don't know how long. And I thought since I use a silver thread, I would use a silver sequins, and they needed a little bit of help, so I went ahead and helped it out with some adhesive there. So now I am adding a flower. The flower is from some of the ephemera that comes in the Dear Lizzy collection, and I cut the bottom of that off, of the flower off, because it wasn't going to be hidden anyway, and I'm just going ahead and I'm putting it over on the journaling card. So then that way I also have some of the same colors to tie it together, and also the silver thread to tie it together, and the lovely flower to tie it together, and all that to tie the 2 pages, or whatever you want to call them, 2 cards, I guess, together. So now I need to use those same alphas and put week 1 there. Then I added week 1, like I just typed it up on my computer and put it there. And then the little piece of a star that came out of when I did the die cutting of the card on the left, I used that little star to put it over on the right. Yet another way to tie the 2 together. So that's what I ended up with. All of this stuff is available in the shop. You can save 20% if you use the code OrangeGirl. Here are my close-ups and my final product of the 2 together. Thanks a lot for stopping by, and I will see you with another video really soon. Thanks a lot.